couple days before I go grocery shopping, I like to really take a look at the things that I have and how I can use them up before going and bringing new things into my fridge. If you're just meeting me, my name is Amy Cross, and this is the Cross Legacy, where I teach you how to save money on groceries. Our grocery budget is $135 per person, and there's only 2 people that officially live here. So our grocery budget is $270 per month. But I'm starting to realize that we're feeding extra people probably around 7 times a month. When we first started trying to save money on groceries, we really realized how quickly just running into the grocery store to grab 1 or 2 things was adding up. It was so easy for my husband just to stop by and pick up something at the grocery store, and then he would come home with multiple other items that we didn't necessarily need. And I am so glad that we broke that habit years ago, because it really helped us get through those years of COVID when you couldn't go to the grocery store, especially where we were from in the Seattle area. People were trying not to leave their house but once every 2 weeks, and that felt like that went on for 2 years here in Washington. And speaking of the pandemic, that is when everything with the Cross Legacy had started. Was back in July of 2021 when I was answering berry questions because a mom on Facebook was scared about going to the grocery store, and she was worried about having produce more than 4 days after going to the grocery store. And I was like thinking that her family was eating all the berries up, but it was because they were getting moldy in those first 4 days. So I had instantly said, like, hey, my berries will last, my blueberries will last over a month. I had over a month-old blueberries in my refrigerator at the time. And that is how the Cross Legacy ended up starting, was me answering berry questions and how I can keep my produce fresh longer. Learning some of those things I've learned over the past couple decades of washing my produce and storing it is how I am now able to go to the grocery store once a month. It has been 3.5 weeks since I went to the grocery store, so I'm going to kind of walk you through what I'm thinking as I'm trying to use up some of these items before we go grocery shopping again. Now, we live in a small rural town, and we're going to have to travel about 45 minutes to go to Costco. And on our way to Costco, when we go grocery shopping the next time, I'm also going to be able to go to the fruit stand again, since they're opening back up and they haven't been open since October. And it's always fun to stop there first, because you never know what you're going to find. And then I can go to Costco, and I will probably end up going to 𝐂𝐿𝐻𝐿 or Fred Meyer's. But that will all happen a couple days from now, and then we will end up putting that video up on the channel. I just want to show you some of the things that I'm thinking about and thinking through as I am getting ready to push out this grocery shopping trip for a few more days. So in my grocery planner here, it does have spaces for things that I'm going to meal plan. These are going to be things that I think of as I am looking through the refrigerator and the freezers of things that we have all the ingredients for and that we could make, but it's not assigned to a specific day. And then I'm also going to put some reminders of things that I have in my pantry that I might want to be using up, just so I will think about that as I go grocery shopping. Really, this would only take me about 5 minutes if I wasn't filming it, just to kind of look at the ingredients I have and see how I want to repurpose it for this season of our lives. And then I will start a shopping list for things that I know that I need, and I always have a no backups shopping list going. So I know that I am only halfway through an avocado oil bottle right now, and I still have like 2 or 3 months before I need to replace that avocado oil, but I know that I have no backups for it in my pantry. So I have that on the list, and the next time I see it on sale, I can pick that up. I don't want to leave my refrigerator open too long, so for filming purposes, we are filming a little bit of B-roll so you can see everything in my refrigerator and how it looks right now, and then I'm going to start pulling some things out in categories. For some of the dairy items, I want to talk about these. This feta cheese is actually from last summer. I have purchased the crumbled version that they have at Costco. It is in this jar. We have a watermelon feta salad that I just love making in the summertime, and that's why I had it, but it got pushed to the back of the fridge during the winter months and I kind of forgot about it. So it's still perfectly good, and we will be using it the rest of the way up. And then this is all of the natural Kerrygold cheese that I have left that I bought in the last grocery shopping cycle. But I do have some cheddar and some mozzarella in the freezer. So I know that this is the block that we've been trying to use up, and when this is gone, I'll take some of that cheese out of the freezer and bring it up. And if it's on sale, that's something that I will end up buying a little bit more to put in the freezer on the next grocery shopping. I always get Greek yogurt and cottage cheese at Costco, and when you put them in the glass jars with the metal lid, these will stay good for 2 weeks past that Best By date. So for a long time, we were just getting one or the other every time we were going grocery shopping, and then they would last for the full 8 weeks. Lately, it seems like I've been buying them both every single time, and then we're using them up. But I've been finding so many recipes that I can use these in and interchange using them in. So sometimes I'm adding a little bit of cottage cheese because I'm trying to use up a jar, and a little bit of Greek yogurt, and then I'm just blending it together before I add it into a recipe. But these are great ways to add protein to your meals. I know this is not dairy, but I keep it in my cheese drawer, so I wanted to talk about it. But this is lunch meat. Whenever I get lunch meat out of the freezer, I put it in a glass container, and that will keep it fresh longer. And I keep the rest of it in the freezer so we can just use it at any time. So this is the last of the deli sliced turkey we have, and I know we have some ham in the freezer, so I don't necessarily need to buy it right away, but we do eat more sandwiches during the summertime. So I might want to double check if I see it on sale when I go grocery shopping to think about we could use it, but we don't really need it right yet. The last time I went grocery shopping, the Kerrygold at Costco was on sale for $5 off. So I made sure to get all that my budget would allow at the time. And then I also, a couple months ago, it's been many months ago now, before the holidays, I ended up buying some Parmesan cheese that we needed for our lasagnas and other things. And it was still in the wrapper in the refrigerator. I hadn't opened it up. So in April is when I finally opened that up. And then I always cut it so it's in smaller triangle pieces. And that is in my stasher bags here. This will stay fresh in the refrigerator for many months now that I have opened it. If I hadn't opened it, it would actually stay fresh for many years. We get this organic A2 milk. It comes in 4 cartons in 1 box. And I like that you can just use one of these up and then throw it away and not have those big jugs taking up space in your refrigerator. But I had bronchitis and I'm finally over it, but I wasn't drinking as much milk as we normally do. So I bought this on our April grocery shopping trip. And the date on this is June 13th. So it lasts for a couple months if it's unopened. Once it's open, you want to use it within 2 weeks. So like if the butter was still on sale, since I didn't need to buy milk, that would be a great time to grab it, or to grab some extra cheese. I kind of try to keep the money that I would spend in a category in the same category. So if I'm not buying milk, I will buy some extra cheese either to keep in the refrigerator or to put in the freezer. We turned off the camera and then we were kind of chatting. What I was trying to say when I was saying that I try to keep the money in that category, that doesn't make it free money all of a sudden and we're buying more snacks. I try to keep that grocery money that we are spending, that it goes to ingredients that we can use multiple different ways, not to junk food. We did have a couple dozen eggs, especially going from Easter and it being springtime. And I want to make sure that we're kind of using the rest of these eggs up before we're going grocery shopping again, or that we don't just have a bunch in the refrigerator. So these eggs, we're going to end up making some more of those breakfast biscuits that I've been making, and some hard-boiled eggs, which we do eat for snacks. But in this bowl here is some potato salad that I made the other day using the last of those little spring potatoes that I had. But I also put 6 eggs in this potato salad just to make it higher protein. And instead of using mayo, I had used a mixture of the cottage cheese and Greek yogurt to get that creamy base, again, adding to the protein of it. So this is a really healthy potato salad. We still have a little bit of cucumber left and some radishes, and I have some Brussels sprouts left that I like slicing up, and I make a roasted Brussels sprout salad. That's really good even going into the summertime. And then I have a little bit of chopped red onions left. These were actually in our pantry, but during the summertime, I try to only keep either small potatoes around or sweet potatoes, but russets and Yukons, this is the time of year that they want to be planted and growing. So this is all the potatoes and onions I currently have in the house, which is much different than how many potatoes and onions I keep in the house during the fall and winter times. which you would have seen me purchase large 50-pound bags and boxes of potatoes and onions. These yellow onions with the skins on them are actually from that produce haul way back in the early fall. When I did go grocery shopping in April, I picked up about 5 or 7, I can't remember exactly how many I got, of these sweet onions. But I've been using these up and keeping these last 3 of the fall batch so I can keep showing them on videos. We also had some steak bites and some potato wedges that I used up the last of the other little potatoes that I had. And so now we just have 4 sweet potatoes that are left. And I am just going to cover these with the pillowcase so they still are getting airflow and they're covered, and they will last probably for many months. We'll probably use them in the next month or 2. And then the onions, I want to make sure that they get stored 3 feet away from the potatoes so they stay fresh longer. We still have a few lemon and limes in our citrus drawer. We have used up all of our avocados. They didn't go bad. We got to use them. And then we still have 3 bell-sized peppers left and 1 jalapeno. I've been trying to keep the whole bell peppers for whenever we're eating them, fresh eating and salads or different things. And then I still have a bunch of frozen peppers in the freezer that I want to make sure that I'm using up again before harvest season. So at harvest season last year, I was able to get a really good deal on peppers, and then I can use them in any cooked dishes we're making. And we have a little bit, we actually have a lot of cilantro that's left. I make sure every week or so I am trimming about 1/4 inch on the bottom of this and adding more water to it. Filtered water, chlorine tap water will kill the plants. I always get one of those 6-pound bags of carrots when we are at Costco once a month, and this is how many we have left. So it is very few. We really do eat them all month long as snacks, and this is what they sound like still. We still have a ton of celery left too. I love, this is like almost a month old and it's still, I can't even crunch it. It's still crunchy, so it's not limp and wimpy like if you would have kept it in the bag and not put it in glass. So this is one that I will remind Mike when he's coming up and wanting snacks, or if anybody, one of my kiddos, is coming over, that we have celery and peanut butter that they can snack on. I do not like raw celery as much as I will eat carrots all day long, but I use them a lot in my cooking too. So if we end up not using all of these before we go grocery shopping again, these can go into a container into the freezer, and you can actually chop celery as it's still frozen. Your knife will really just slide right through it. So you can either chop it before you put it in the freezer, or I just pull it out frozen. This is totally frozen. I just got it out of the freezer, but listen, it's really hard and I can just easily cut through it. There you go. So if you're throwing away celery, that's a great trick. This is the last lettuce that we have that we bought in April, so it's been 3.5 weeks, and look how perfect it still looks. This is the small container. Normally I store the lettuce in this larger glass container. So the rotation that we're going to end up doing things this time is we're going to use this lettuce up first, and then we actually have some that's growing out in our garden that we'll want to use, and the spinach might not get used up by the time we go grocery shopping again. So if we haven't used it all the way for fresh salads and fresh eating, then I'll just take the paper towel out of this and put this in the freezer, and then we can use it for recipes. And there's just a couple like little tiny zucchinis left in the crisper drawer, but I do have some shredded zucchini in the freezer too, so I can think about adding those to recipes over the next couple weeks, and pretty soon we are going to have zucchinis that, you know, all your friends are trying to hand off. And in my refrigerator, this is all the leftovers that we have, and these are actually from the last 24 hours. And then I pulled out some chicken that we are going to have for dinner tonight. But I made sure to put it in a glass container so no juices accidentally get in my fridge. This is some pulled pork that we had last night on sweet potatoes. It has some beans in it and some pineapple, hence why I have a container of pineapple down here. But we're going to end up adding some cheese to this and making quesadillas out of the rest. And we have some baked beans here that we're planning on having with some hamburger. And then there is the pineapple from the pulled pork last night. That was all the fridge things. I really just thought that was a good example of showing you what my produce looks like 3.5 weeks later and how we're like working through those ingredients. But I'm gonna pull some of the things out of my freezer now. So I wanted to show you some of the items that I have in my freezer right now and kind of show you how most of the things that I have are single ingredient items. Now, yes, I do use plastic bags in the freezer. If you don't, that's fine. So I do have some stasher bags that I try to use, but I don't have enough of them for all the things that I'm storing. So again, if that is a priority in your life, go ahead and use glass or stasher bags in your freezer. I'm okay with plastic in my freezer. So we have found that these size containers that are glass are about the perfect meat portion for Mike and I for a dinner. So there's only the two of us here. I like to have, this one is pork, so it's pulled pork. I like to have either chopped or shredded cooked chicken, some pork in my freezers, and then I also have a couple different options for ground meat. So this is cooked and ready to go taco meat. Whenever I go to make any ground meat, I am just cooking it normally in like 4-pound batches, and then I can put the containers in their freezer and I can use them for the next couple months. So I normally have some cooked ground sausage, cooked taco meat, and then just plain hamburger that has cooked onions and zucchini also in it. I also like to keep some sausage or kielbasa in the freezer. We use this multiple different ways. This is the apple chicken sausage from Costco. I know, I buy a lot of things from Costco. I'm not sponsored by them. This is a great one. If you forgot to pull something out for dinner, this will defrost in about an hour, and then you can either slice it or cook them whole. I always have super cubes in my freezer. Sometimes I'll transfer it over into a bag after it was in this container, but if I don't need the container again right away, then I just keep the items in here. Right now this has chicken broth. And this is chicken broth from the last batch. There's a couple portions of shredded zucchini and this one. So again, if I don't need to use this container, then I won't transfer it into a bag and I'll just keep it in here. I normally keep a couple different kinds of tortillas in our house. We use these all of the time. I like to have corn tortillas. These are burrito-sized tortillas that we use for the Crunch Wrap Supremes. Then I also keep carb balance taco-size tortillas in the house. When I go to put these in the freezer, I put wax paper or parchment paper in between every 2 or 4, just depending on how many I want to pull out at a time. And that way I don't have to wait for it to be defrosted and I can pull just a few out and we can use them. This is also a great one if you don't have a lot of room in your freezer and you can't store bread, to be able to have some tortillas around that you can multi-purpose for different wraps and stuff is really handy. This is kind of a fun one because I've stopped writing the date or the year on this bag and I just repurpose this outer bag every single time. But inside, after a holiday, I chop up any ham that we have. The ham ends up in about 1 cup portions. I normally get around 8 to 10 1-cup portions that I can put into this bag after either Christmas or Easter time. And then I use it until the next holiday and it's all used up. But I keep repurposing the same bag because I only have 1 bag in the freezer that says ham. The ham is perfect for breakfast dishes. I like adding them to those breakfast biscuits that I have been making lately. But I find in the summertime also I like to make fried rice more often, and this is also another way I use it up. This is some bacon that we had that I divided up back in February, and now we're the middle of May. And I had wrapped it up in the parchment paper before putting it in there, and so we have 4 slice sections in this bag and we can grab out just a couple at a time. So we're able to still stick to our favorite things that we like and stay in our grocery budget because we spread it out for many months. After the holidays, we realized we didn't have as much roasted turkey as we wanted for leftovers, and so I ended up buying a turkey roast and then we cut that into slices and we've been using it on sandwiches. I'm kind of tired of turkey right now and so I did realize that I had some cream cheese left over and I have some cranberries in the freezer, and I think I'm going to make like turkey roll-ups with them and just make it a little bit different. Again, kind of changing the flavors for a different season will make us excited to finish this up. Here are more of those peppers I was talking about. We normally have frozen broccoli. That is one that Mike will not eat, so I keep it frozen instead of buying fresh. And when my kiddos are over, they will eat broccoli with me, so it's nice to have it on hand. And then I normally keep a smaller bag of frozen peas in the freezer. Again, that's not one of Mike's favorites, but that one I can sneak into recipes. And I still have a couple jars in the freezer of this marinara sauce that I made way back in the fall when I got the tomatoes from the farmer's farmer's market. So this also has onions, peppers, and zucchini all blended up in it. So I know when I'm adding it to a meal, it's really vegetable packed. And I bought these on my March grocery shopping trip because we used them for a special birthday and for Easter. And now this last one is going to be for Mother's Day because I'm not cooking on Mother's Day morning. This is a good example of things that I buy to keep on hand and that I'm rotating out to make sure that I'm conscientious about what we want to eat during that season of life. I do have a little bit of granola that was in my pantry that I am going to pull out and set next to the coffee pot so Mike will remember that we have it, and that will help use up some of the milk or even some of the yogurt. And this jar is a perfect example why I don't put labels on my jars anymore, because it says still cut oats. And yes, I even know that's spelled wrong. So it's just stayed on this jar for years, but I always keep something in it that is not still cut oats so I know that it's the right thing. I always keep something in the jar that does not look like still cut oats so we know what it is and we don't get confused, and then I write whatever it is up on the top. But this jar has had pickles in it, it's had strawberries in it, there's been all kinds of things in it over the years, and we just kind of laugh about it. So this is all the pistachios I have left. I do want to use these up. They have been in here about a year now. So this is again something that I'm pushing forward and pushing towards my family so we can use this up, and I can put it on my grocery list as something that I can buy if I still have money in the budget. So this is something that I normally write on a second column on my grocery list to kind of keep my eye out on. But if I decide that I want something that's more important, this can go down on the priority list and get pushed even many months out. And I am allergic or sensitive to quite a few nuts, but pistachios is one that I can eat. This is another example of something that kind of goes into a category, and this is chia seeds. Normally I have chia seeds, flax seeds, and hemp hearts on hand, and right now I don't, and I haven't had that on my grocery budget. So that is also on a list of whenever I am using the rest of these up, I want to start picking the other ones up again. I like to have all three on hand, but it's just a matter of priorities. Now for some of the canned items that I have, I only keep a few in my kitchen, and then I have cases of them that I refill it with. So before I go grocery shopping, I make sure that I refill everything that I need in my kitchen cabinets, and then as I'm bringing a case of either beans or like tomato sauce into the house, those go into my pantry and I'm cycling them out by the dates. So that way I know that I have things that are handy here in my kitchen and we're using them and rotating them, but we also have food security in our house by having those backups in the pantry. And I will say we don't go to the grocery store very often, and I am trying to use up everything we can as we are going, but we do have emergency food here in the house that is freeze-dried emergency containers. So as we are going to the grocery store, or those days leading up to the grocery store, if an emergency happened in our world, we would still be okay because we have emergency food in the house. So I'm really cautious about things like our grocery budget and not wasting any food, rotating things, but also being prepared in an emergency. We went to grab things out of the pantry, and there are 3 containers that are almost empty. So this black bean case is almost empty. I want to make sure for sure that I put that on our grocery list. I do have dried black beans, but I'm kind of lazy. And then I only have 1 can of pineapple left. We have a family member that comes over and visits me and really loves canned pineapple. So I want to make sure that I get more of this on hand. And we do also use this in recipes for our sausage and kielbasa or pulled pork kind of recipes, and also for Hawaiian pizza. I bought this case of beans also at Costco, but I thought it was really neat. There are 3 different types of beans in this one jar. So if you're a smaller family and don't want to open up a bunch of cans of beans but want to make like a bean salad, this is a really great option. And then I had just 1 random can of garbanzo beans down there. I want to make sure that I'm moving these upstairs and writing this on my list. Now I do have buckets full of beans if I needed to have an emergency prepared beans, but I do like having the canned beans just on my shelf ready to go. And in my stand-up freezer downstairs, I have a whole shelf of frozen tomatoes. When we first moved over here in September, I wasn't doing any canning. I haven't done any canning since we've moved into the house. Normally, I will make things like ketchup, barbecue sauce, diced tomatoes, and tomato sauce. And so I have those frozen tomatoes in the freezer for whenever I am ready to start doing a canning project, but I do like to keep some shelf-stable tomato sauce handy too. I thought it was really interesting also that the price of tomatoes right now, the wholesale price of tomatoes went from being $25 a box to $90 a box because a crop in Florida was ruined during the winter season this year. So if you're thinking about planting something on your patio or in a little container, plant a tomato because the tomato prices are going to go really high. I'm kind of just laughing. I'm going to have to watch the video to remember what I said to write down on my list. So again, our grocery budget is $270 for the household, and I am probably going to focus on getting some nuts this time, and I like to be able to make things like trail mix in the summertime. That's really handy to have around, and you can use up little bits and pieces of things to make that. I do know that I want to make some granola bars in the next couple days, and so we can have those too, and cycling some of those rolled oats out. That's also a good way to be using up some of the rolled oats that I want to use up because we're not really having oatmeal during the summertime. So we're still having those very nutritious ingredients just in a different form, and by making them I can control the sugar, add more protein and fiber into it. Some of the other things that we kind of like to keep on hand for snacks is beef jerky, and this has been up on the top shelf where I can't actually even reach it, but we bought this time last year. We have been eating them occasionally, but we use these for road trips. So whenever we are going on a road trip, I make sure that we have extra snacks in the car, so we will be eating those and not stopping at the gas station. And since we end up drinking mostly coffee during the morning time and water here at the house, especially in the summertime when we are really trying to bump up how much water we're having, and we live in a hotter climate now, I do like to keep some liquid IV or different flavor packs. And I love during the summertime, I watch for these to go on sale. Sometimes they will go $7 to $9 off of a package, and that's when I will get some. These packages that I still have left are from last summer, so it's not something that we use a lot, but I definitely am watching for it to go on sale. We've just found over the years, the more that we concentrate on whole food items, the less that we are snacky. And so really concentrating on the ingredients that we're bringing into our house has really helped us with all those extra cravings. So there's all the things that we have that I'm trying to look at before I go grocery shopping. And I'm so excited to be checking out the farm stand to see what they have. As we get further into the summertime, there'll be more items there, but definitely in May is a great time to start checking out the farm stands. And we are having to drive like 45 minutes away for it, so it's not like it's just down the street. This is my zero waste produce guide that goes through 75 fruits and vegetables A to Z to help you save money on groceries. So this is in the description. It's also in a bundle with my grocery planner. I have used these now for many years, and I love being able to flip back through the seasons and remember what we like to cook last spring or last summer. I also keep recipe notes in these planners, and so even yesterday I had saw a recipe that I've been making a lot, and I forgot that I used to put another ingredient in it. So it was a great way to like, oh yeah, I looked back for 3 summers to see what I was making, and I forgot that that ingredient went into those. So both of these items are linked in the description, and there is a discount code. If you're new here, welcome. Know that I read comments every single day. If you get a little heart, that is from me because I have spent time reading the questions, answering comments on there, sending links to videos that we have. If you have a question on a particular item or looking for a recipe, I'm happy to send you links. You are not bothering me. I really love to be able to be part of this community. And I hope you learned something today that you can implement for your own family and the items that you like to buy for your household to help you save money on groceries too.